good afternoon. Wherever you are, come into this little gathering together of all of our friends. It's so fun to get together in these times to build each other's strength up, to encourage each other, and to break things down into bite sized pieces so that we can bring them into our normal everyday life. So, welcome to Spirit Sessions. You have me, Teresa Warren, you have Rhonda Elliott, and you have Bex Marie. Amazing, amazing friends. And today we have a guest some of you may know so well because it is the amazing Robyn McClendon here to share some really exciting things with us. And so I see Nancy, Karat, and Stephanie here. Thank you guys for coming in. Everyone, please be sure to share this out. Be sure to go to the YouTube channel to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And let's all come and have some fun together this morning. Rhonda, what's going on with this?
Oh, I was so privileged to meet Robyn in person at Mount Shasta, on our Mount Shasta alchemy retreat. And she's like, we commented how the energy is the same. She is just as lovely in person, actually, even more so because you get into her full of energy. And it was just so wonderful to meet her. And I thought, well, we'll have her on our show and we'll talk about Gaia. But no, we're not going to talk about Gaia today. Well, we are, but we're not. The main focus is going to be who she's been talking about. And when we were in Mount Shasta, there was a lot of this energy around us. I'm sure the Yeti, the Sasquatch, the forest people, whoever you want to talk to. And we've had a lot of shows on that, but it seems to be that energy is coming into our focus recently. I think they have more to say about it. Robyn, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how the Yeti has kind of come into your awareness lately.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you guys for inviting me back on your show. It's like all old home week, to hang out on the old network a few years back. So it's always nice to get back in you guys' company. And Rhonda, like when we met, like we said, it was just like we had already known each other. It was like that strange kind of feeling of familiarity. So that was a lot of fun in Mount Shasta. So I've been a Reiki master for 30 plus years. I'm an artist, a visual artist. And so the art, archaeology, the idea of textural materials found, lost civilizations are always played a real pivotal role in my world. It's funny because I always put myself as an artist first because that's all I ever want to do is create. Though I was formally trained in, like I said, in anthropology and archaeology, but they all have all have come together in my life. So about 30 years ago, too, I started studying Reiki, but really just only for my personal growth. I wasn't really thinking about, I want to be a healer. And so then that, along with telling my stories visually, I have a program called Art Mythos. And the whole idea is how to tell your own personal story. It could be with words, it could be with images. It doesn't really matter. But and I think even more so, we're moving back to a time now where it's so important for us to know how to engage and tell our story. So for so long, we've been a part of a collective. Either it's women's issues, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's, new age community issues, or it's truthers, or it's this one name that just then, everything's supposed to fall underneath it. And we know that that's not the case. And even more so now, it's important for us to get back to our individual stories like it used to be. Right. And then how do those individual stories come together? And so it's like the lost art of personal storytelling, I call it, telling your own story. And what's that language? What's that vocabulary? So I do a lot of that. And so as a result of working with energies, primarily, Reiki is just source energy. I mean, it's an easy term for source energy. And source energy shows up in a lot of different modalities, a whole lot of different ways. So I always like to say that because I think a lot of people who don't work with the Reiki energy think that Reiki is in and of itself. And then it's other things, but actually it is the point of all beginnings, right? It's the bindu, it's the point of the start. So, so that brings me forward to starting the channel Gaia about 6 years ago. And we talked about that before coming on air, the idea of channel. That's why I call it conversations, because it always is conversational. When Gaia speaks to me, it's in a cadence of conversation. She's sharing stuff, I'm asking questions, and it's this back and forth exchange. She's very patient. It's I don't feel a loss in my own consciousness. I don't feel anything kind of overtaking my physical body. I don't go into trance per se. I'm very much aware of what the dynamics of that is. So that's why we call it conversations. And those conversations really started to increase over the last 5 years. Like I said, 5 to 6 years. And as you guys know, she then did channel a oracle deck that I use, frequently, or quite all the time, really. But and she has another one that we're working on. So it's amazing how she starts bringing that information in as it's needed. So I was quite happy with my conversations with Gaia. Honestly, I wasn't thinking about anything else except for I love just to, explore sacred sites. That's my thing. I think it's the archaeologist in me,
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I can go someplace and climb on a pile of rocks and look for stuff, I'm in. So Mount Shasta was like that. I know, oh yeah, I have not been to Mount Shasta. I'd love to go. So we had that retreat. And so it's some great opportunity just to kind of, scour around in the mountainside and, see what Gaia would reveal. Well, she revealed a number of things. We went into a couple of different portals. It was amazing. We went into a birthing portal. She showed us that at the Ascension Rock. There was another old Lemurian portal that she showed up in the mountains. So, well, actually, with our guide Paul, he had taken us to it because he always takes us to it. But then she had opened some new information to me around what that portal was and all that kind of good stuff. But the one that really, really threw me for a loop was it was on the day before the last day, and we had gone up into Shasta. We were looking for, was it it was a particular field. I can't think of the name of it right now, but we were going up there.
Meadows.
Panther Meadows. Yeah, but it wasn't open yet. So we were doing Qigong in an open field and what have you. And at that point, when I got up there, I was so enamored by Gaia. She started talking to me, and I could just feel the energy coming through the ground. And I thought, I don't want to do Qigong. We had been doing Qigong, and I love Qigong, that. So I thought, I want to talk to Gaia. So that's what started the process of me just connecting with her. Now, what was really interesting is, and this is where the Yeti come in. What was really interesting is that normally I have a process when I go to a site and I want to connect with it. I always ask, if I can, and get whatever that answer is. I respect it. If I get a no, then I say thank you, and I don't go beyond, because there's a reason why. If I get a yes, then I'm also asking for spirit of place. Like there's always a gatekeeper. There's always a spirit of place. There's always an energetic gatekeeper that that you ask to connect with. It's like if you go to somebody's house, you're just going to just walk in their house and open the door, just go in. You get greeted by the person whose home it is, right? And you get welcomed in, and you get offered around, right? So I follow that practice. And then what was interesting, when I asked if I could connect, I got a yes. When I asked if I could connect, if spirit of place would reveal itself, I got no. Oh, that was interesting. I said, no, okay, I got you. No. So I said, well, would you tell me why it's a no? Because you're telling me I can connect, right? But you're telling me that I can't connect with you. And it said too many people around. So I thought, okay, that makes sense. So I just must have meditated for about 10 or 12 minutes, just standing under a large pine tree and just really connecting with it. It was beautiful and everything. But, I started hearing some unusual bird call coming from 3 directions, ultimately. And then this whole incredible sort of mystical kind of kingdom opened up. I mean, I know this all sounds strange to some people listening. I mean, some people are right in with it, and some people probably thinking, "Oh, come on, mystical kingdom." I'd probably be one of them because I don't necessarily. I'm more of a pragmatist. I'm very pragmatic, and even in my spiritual practice, I'm very pragmatic. I mean, like, I'd show me the proof. I want some signs and symbols. I don't want airy fairy. I need concrete. So I thought, but I could see that the landscape had begun to transform. It literally, when I opened my eyes back up after meditating for about this 10 to 12 minute period, I think it was longer than that because my daughter was there. She was actually doing drone photography for the retreat, and she said it was a long time. She said, "Mom, it was almost an hour," and I'm thinking It didn't seem like that though. But anyway, I open up and I look out and I see this. The only way I can describe it is that it looked like Hobbitville.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It looked like just a beautiful little village of small, homes made out of rocks and logs. And I mean, it was incredible. And I'm thinking, I know I can't be seeing, this. You close your eyes, wipe them and look up again. And I'm thinking, okay, this is different. And as I looked up the hillside, because we were at the baseline of the trees at Mount Shasta, so we were at like what they call the fall point, which is why Panther Meadow hadn't been open yet. And so we were pretty high up there.
7,000.
And I looked at it, and as I looked up, I could see more of these village-like things, and I'm thinking, what in the world am I looking at? So I remember saying back to, and I know that Saint Germain also is overseer at Mount Shasta. So I had to bring him into the conversation. I'm like, okay, look, somebody need to tell me what's going on here because I would like to understand. And I don't want to feel like I am, sort of, making it up kind of thing.
Right.
So I felt the presence really strongly. And it was like, no, this is a portal. This is one of the major gateways here in Mount Shasta. And I thought, okay, well, I'd like to go over and explore it, but may I? And so I heard, yeah, you can go explore it. But what was funny is that, me, I'm still like I like proof, So I said, okay, well, give me a physical sign that I'm allowed to go over in there, because you could tell it was just this incredibly little magical realm. But it was huge. I mean, it went for quite a distance, and it was like little pockets. So it was like little villages, like you could look and see one, and you could look over in the hillside and see another one, So I heard that I could. So I started walking, and I'm walking very slowly. After taking about 4 steps, I find a pair of keys on the ground. They were 3 keys, and they weren't like stuck down in the dirt. They were laying on the fresh mulch of the pine tree. And what was interesting about them is that it was an old, like an antique Swiss Army knife hanging off of it, a little miniature one. And you could see it's like that old Bakelite type. So it's an old little Swiss Army knife. I thought, it's interesting. And then there were 3 keys. One key was rusted, like it had been out in the elements. But yet it was cleaned off. It wasn't dirty. It was just laying in this fresh mulch. The second one was a skeleton key. So I thought, okay, somebody could have dropped these. What's the likelihood of people walking around with skeleton keys? I mean, in America, there's nothing that we use any longer than skeleton keys. And then the third key actually was a little silver key, and engraved in it had the word sun, S-O-N. So I heard, you have the keys to the kingdom. When I saw it, I heard keys to the kingdom. And I thought, okay, well, I guess you can't get more than this, So moving into that realm, there again, I sat a long time and just really took it in, a lot of information. I felt a lot of downloading happening. I still wasn't sure of what was going on. It wasn't until later on that evening I was back at the at the lodges, and I was talking to one of the mountain women. I call her a mountain shaman, you know, Wendy, just incredible person.
Amazing.
She and I have talked a number of times since then. She's just like amazing. But she had heard the story through Jen, because I hadn't shared it with anybody, but Jen had been there. So she had shared it with Wendy. And so Wendy came and said, hey, can I talk to you? I want to share something with you. And I'm like, yeah, sure. She said, I heard about your experience earlier. Can you tell me what the bird call sounded like? So I told her what it sounded like. She said, okay, that's what I thought. She said, I already checked in with Spirit, and I wanted to confirm first. And I also asked if I could tell you, and I was told that I could. Now, anybody who's met Wendy, and Rhonda, you met Wendy, you could tell she's no nonsense kind of woman. She's not given to hyperboles, and she wasn't like, she's not like it is. Yeah, she's not dancing around with unicorns on her head or anything like that. She just tells it like it is. She's no nonsense. And so I said, okay, So basically, she told me, she said that you had encountered, that was your encounter with the Yeti, and the reason why they didn't want you to. They didn't want to reveal themselves at that point because there were too many people around, but at that same point they were, she just went on to say they were just thrilled that you were there. You were able to reconnect. You had soul energy that, was time to reconnect around a lot of ancient history. Then she looks at me and she says, but you're not human, right? And I look at Wendy, I'm thinking, I've been told I'm strange, but I don't know. I kind of thought I might still be human. And she said, well, no, you're not. She said, you're more, your frequency is the same frequency as theirs, and so, you're kindred spirit, and that's the same frequency you're resonating in this lifetime. So what was interesting about all of that is that after that, the Yeti came in and really started not only confirming a lot of what Wendy had said, but I had realized that the day before, when we had been at Ascension Rock at the birthing cave, that I had actually seen the Yeti, but I didn't realize I had seen it because it was in a different form. So this is the first thing that the Yeti want to get out there, is that they're definitely skin changers. And the form that they're most commonly known as, the hairy beastie type, is only a form that is they use to deflect or to scare off, because they are gatekeepers, and they're gatekeepers to the other realms. And now that Gaia is coming on more, we have more energy flowing through. We know that the earth is going through her ascension. There's a lot of splitting off. We know that there's a lot of dark forces and a lot of things that are obviously wanting to keep this ascension from happening. And I think that's why we're dealing with what we're dealing with in the world right now. It's one thing to protect ourselves from a virus, but it's another thing to shut the entire world down. I mean, I think that's an extreme that obviously we can see that there is the forces that have been trying to control this realm are running out of options, and they're becoming very desperate. Right. So the Yeti are definitely gatekeepers to these dimensions that are opening up. So they got a real serious job of protecting everything that Gaia is doing right now. There were 3 of them, and so I'm always aware of 3 of them when I feel their field coming in. Like, they're here right now. I can really feel the energy of them, and they're always. It's the funniest thing, because the way I see them is nothing like the way I originally saw Yeti. And I can back up, because I actually had a physical encounter with Yeti about 6 years ago, and the scary one, you know what I mean? And and now I understand what that was all about. At the time I didn't, and I find myself over the years keep on asking, what made me, see that animal? Like, what is, what was going on? And I'll share that with you guys. But so I realized that was that same energy. So now that I'm working with them, and they're sharing stuff with me, and we're, just right now I'm going through a lot. I have been in Ascension Symptoms for like about 3 weeks right now. It's like crazy. I just go in and out, in and out, in and out. But what happens when I'm going through it is I'm burning off a lot of sort of unnecessary karmic kind of stuff. And there's a lot of information that's being released. So when it's happening, I'm seeing what's being released out of my field, which is pretty interesting, that whole process of they're actually showing me what's being released just to kind of open my pathways more, to be able to download more of the energy that Gaia needs all of us to be able to do to help her with the ascension. Now, when I say help Gaia, I'm not one of these kind of people that think that Gaia can't do it without us. Gaia can get this thing done alone. You know, I don't believe that Gaia needs me to be here for her to do the work. What I do believe is that we're straws, and to the extent that we can form teams with her and help this process, because we become that bridge between her and humanity, then to that extent we are helping her, you know. And but the more we can open up our own pathways, our neural pathways, our pranic pathways, our meridians, our Dantians, which also ends up being chakras as well, the more we can open that up, the more of this new earth energy that she's really putting out will be able to hold and anchor in to be able to keep on leveling up. So we're really back in the time of a lot of ascension symptoms. Those who may be going into it, just really keep on checking in with spirit, because a lot of times, and I'm not sure, and you guys can stop me because I could because my mind is going like this, but I wanted to say, I'm not sure if whether or not this whole process of this COVID or Corona has been sort of usurped as a way for people to become confused on their upgrading, because people are so afraid of getting a cold or even getting a regular flu that they could be in denial. But I think what's happening is a lot of this is just coming in naturally to upgrade us. And so that we shouldn't be fearful. You know, we should look at it like we used to look at it when, you know, the whole idea of ascension symptoms. But did you want to say something?
No, we're just letting you roll, because just let the master roll.
Yeah,
we're happy to sit
absolutely.
back and be at your feet and listen.
No, thank you. So I wanted to put that out there, because I don't, you know, we used to talk very openly about ascension symptoms. Oh yeah, I had a flu-like symptom. I had this. I had chills. You know, I had really bad headaches. Now you don't even hear anybody mentioning it. But I think it's because people don't want to be looking like they're COVID. You know? And I think that's a trick. That's a trick of the fungus. Gaia calls the overlay fungus. And she's shown me that that's basically what it is. You know, we can call it reptilian or archonic and all that. And that's giving it something. That's another play on giving it more power than what it actually has. So when you hear me say fungus, that's what I'm talking about. So she's like showing that actually what they're trying to do, the energy that's coming out of the planet that is creating the upgrade and everything that we see as Corona is actually coming from Gaia. And it's helping to upgrade us and move us along. It's gotten usurped by the fungus and turned into this dastardly thing to keep people controlled. Now, I like to back up and say, do I believe that there's a real some virus out there? Yeah, because there's a flu. You know, 100-something thousand people a year die from a flu. So we know that a flu can be deadly. So certainly some kind of upgraded aspect of the flu can be. My condolences for anyone who has lost people, you know, family or friends to COVID. I know I've had some that didn't die, but definitely struggled through. And fortunately came on the other side, but it was, you know, months of really being hospitalized and stuff. So I understand that. And I like to say that because sometimes people get a little triggered and say the first thing I hear sometimes is, well, I really didn't know somebody who died. I believe it. But that's not 7 billion people, you know, and what's happening right now on the planet is affecting 7 billion people. So this is the message. So, you know, when we get back to really understanding why the Yeti are really coming out prominently now is, I'll say this and then I'll go back to the first time that I saw one. When I asked Yeti, I said, what is the message that you want me to share today with the audience? What is like one word, like, you know, what is, you know, one thing that you want me to get across? And they said, magical kingdom. That we're moving into a time, those of us who have been doing the work, who have up-leveled, who are seeing, and we were connected with Gaia, with nature, and the whole realm. You know, it's moving back into magical kingdom. You know, and I thought, wow, magical kingdom. You know, and they're like, yeah, you know, and so to make that point, the Yeti are, like I said, first of all, the Yeti have a tendency to be the mountain gatekeepers. So the Sasquatch are forest, and this is what I understand from them, giving me an idea of distinction. They don't talk a lot about the Sasquatch, but because we're working more with what they're talking about, but I have asked them, you know, what the difference is. And they said, well, they're the forest brothers, you know, and they really basically are on the flat, the forest, this, you know, they kind of have a completely different mission, though they are a gatekeeper, but it's more of this dimensional. It's more of keeping the gates closed, I'm hearing them say, so that so fungus and stuff can't get in the same. Where the Yeti are opening the portals, right? They're helping to open and create and bring more into a space, this more magical kingdom. So that's kind of like what they've shown me the difference is. As I said before, they are skin changers. So they have a tendency, they're more comfortable in a dense, compact, small version of themselves. That's how they mostly move around. So they're very elemental in a way, you know, but very dense, heavy frequencies. So you can really hear them when they're moving and stuff. You can actually hear them because it's kind of hard, especially when they get compacted like that. They just have a very thick quality, if that makes sense. But they are, hold on a second, sorry about this. My puppy, he likes to go in and out. I always say I need to put a doggy door near my office.
Oh,
but anyway,
ours like to come in. It's not
easy. So, so what happens? So basically, where was I exactly with her?
The distinction between the
hearing them with elementals being elemental.
Yeah, so that's a big thing that they want people to also know, that they're not in this one form of this white furry kind of bear-like creature. They only show that when they need, like I had said earlier, when they want to scare something off. Like they don't want you in their realm. They don't want you, like, and maybe people are getting too, because if you see a Yeti, it's only because they wanted you to see them.
Right.
Same with the Sasquatch. You don't see these animals if they don't want you to see them, because they're elementals, right? And they're in different realms. So they know how to control their appearances in this realm.
Right.
So the idea of going out and looking for them, you see like a lot of those shows, I'm going to look for a Sasquatch and all that kind of stuff. When you see one, it's because they wanted you to see them. And because most of the time they're not in this physical realm. They're in an altered dimension that they're able to move back and forth pretty easily. So they don't like the idea of the abominable. And that's why I liked what Teresa wrote. She said, I like that when you made it as a question. That was brilliant. I love that, because, you know, are they abominable? No, they're not. They don't like that. And that was one of the things they really want me to get across too, is that they're not this monstrous, abominable kind of creature. We know, those of us who've been on this journey know by now that everything that we've been told basically is false, right? So it would stand to reason that anything we've been told about things like the Yeti and the Sasquatch are also false.
Right.
So they definitely are, they definitely like to, you know, for people to understand that when they transform into that shape, let's say, it's because they're getting a message across. Now, generally, when they're getting a message across, it's either, maybe it's some very aggressive energy that's coming into a realm and they just really want to actually scare that energy off. Or it's done to get your attention around protection, because the Yeti are really very protective. And when you start connecting with the Yeti energy, they are here to protect us. They're working along with Gaia to protect this realm as it continues to open up. We become more vulnerable right now because of the splitting and ascension. So their role is even more so to make sure that everything, that the gates are, you know, well preserved. They work a lot also along with the galactic forces. So they definitely work along with any of the star beings that are here assisting the ascension as well. So this is all, this is all in the same, you know, frequency. They're all working together. Okay. So when the first time I saw one, it was about it had to be 6 years ago, because I was moving from Chicago to Arizona. And at that point, I was with a new partner, and we were driving from Chicago, you know, coming here. And we were going through the flatlands of Oklahoma, and it was about 11:30 at night. And no one else really on the highway but us. So you're just going down this dark highway, you know, and just talking and whatever. Now, at this point, I didn't realize that I was moving into a relationship with a handler. And I'll tell you guys about that.
Oh, wow.
But I was getting into a relationship with a handler. And so moving down this highway, we're talking. And so this is the first time that we're actually leaving to go and start this new life together, right? Mm. And I look up down the road, and maybe about 500 feet at this point, I see this white, it looked like a polar bear, but a thin polar bear, because it was on all fours. And you could sort of see the snout-like nose, right? So I thought, what in the heck is that? You know what I mean? Because certainly it's not supposed to be a polar bear in the middle of Oklahoma at 11:30 at night, right? No. Oh my God. So I'm looking at this thing first in disbelief, because at first you're thinking, I know I'm not seeing this, you know. But as the car is coming closer to it, now we're starting to slow down some too, because we're thinking, oh my God, what do we do? Because it was right on the edge of this 2-lane highway. Or was it 4 lanes? Because it was 2 lanes going this way. So it was a 4-lane highway. And, but it was still one of those, you know, sort of the country road type, you know. It didn't have a medium strip in the middle of it. And so I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, do we slow down? Do we go around? Because I was clear that this animal could have its way with us, because it was huge. And I don't think a car would stop it. No. You could like pick up the car and throw it around. Like, because it was a big animal. I mean, its back on all fours was higher than like the hood of the car. I mean, It was just, thing was pretty big. So, but I'm looking at it. So all this is happening really fast. Like, this is all happening within seconds. You're processing all of this. So my partner, he was driving, so he sees it too. And he's like, oh my God, what is this? You know, we're looking. Well, in the moment of seeing it on all fours, then it stood up. Now on all fours, it was kind of facing as a side profile. That's where we could see the snout. And it was all white, but it was like albino, you know, kind of albino sort of white. You know, where it's the absence of color more so than color, the hair, the skin, everything. So, and you could see the skin because the face actually had skin on it. It wasn't hair on the skin. I mean, yeah, on the face. It was hair everywhere else, but the face was smooth, like skin. So, within the instant of him, this animal being on the side view, it stood up on 2s, and you could tell that it was bipedal at that point, right? And then turned and looked us right in the car window, like just turned and looked right at us. As soon as it looked right at you, it looked human. The face looked human. It lost that snout-like quality. I'm thinking, what in the world is this thing? And the arms are just massive. It's just hanging down. I think this thing had to be, I don't think I'm exaggerating if I say 9 feet. I don't believe I'm exaggerating at all. And so it turns and it looks right through the car window at both of us. And then in 2 leaps, one into the middle of the highway, and the second one, it was off into the field, and it just disappeared. Like literally disappeared.
Wow.
Like you didn't see it at all. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Well, obviously that was the topic of conversation of the rest of the way to Arizona. But what was interesting is that my partner, he was really shaken by it. He was like, oh my God, what in the world was that? I mean, what is stuff like that? I don't even hear about these things. But me, it was scary. I'm not going to say it wasn't scary, because it was scary. Trust me. I mean, that's not something I was in my life thinking I wanted to put on repeat.
Right.
But I realized that that thing could have had its way with us.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't aggressive, though it looked like it could be very aggressive. No doubt about it. It could have been. But it could have done what it wanted to do, right? So I thought it's nothing to actually be fearful of, but what it was a sign of some sort.
Right.
Well, it wasn't until in recent months now, I had a regression session with Mary Rodwell. Now, anyone who's in the contactee field and follows UFOs and you know, people who have been contacted and stuff know the work of Mary Rodwell. She's written a number of books, and she does not past life, but she does regression around, you know, helping to open up memories of things of maybe of contacting, you know, being a contactee, you know, being on ships. You know, a lot of times people have screen memories, they can't remember what's going on. So she helps a lot with that, but she works a lot with children too. A lot of the indigos who come in and have a memory that's fresh intact. So she works a lot with them as well to bring in information. So I met her in Australia because we were both on a panel at the Consciousness Conference there in Uluru. And so that's the first time I was able to meet her. I knew of her work. So once I came back to the States, you know, I said, Mary, I want a session with you because it's just a few things I want to flush out. Well, it didn't have anything to do with the Yeti at the time. I wanted to flush out some of this other stuff around this whole handler thing, because I really became aware that that's what had been going on. I had since got out of that relationship at the beginning of the year because I knew that I needed to move out of it. It was really clear, become abundantly clear, because during this 6-year period, I had two times where I know I had implants on 2 separate occasions. Wow. And then in one of them, he had an implant in the same exact place. So what happens a lot of times with these, and he actually had contact in his 20s with the Greys, the long hand, scary ones, you know, not the little cute ones, but the scary ones. And he told me about that he had been stalked by them on a couple of different occasions. And they would threaten him if he didn't kind of sort of go along, that they would kill him, was his words he used. So, but I never even thought about that at the time. I'm like, oh, wow, you know, okay, you've had encounters, you know, what have you. So sometimes people have these encounters, and, you know, you don't have to have a bad spirit or be a bad, you know, be a bad person, you know what I mean? But you can be influenceable. You know, and we know that people who are not doing the work, right, like we all are doing in our various groups and communities. And if you're doing a lot of TV and, you know, all that stuff, you're just so programmable. It's so much hypnosis in the television and what have you that's just constantly programming people and making them hypnagogic, that I think that he was very easily programmed. And so he was programmed into, over a period of time, of starting to handle me. So what that meant was that nothing bad was happening to me, but nothing really good was happening either. You know, I was like in this stasis. So I was growing, but I really wasn't growing. Like I would wonder, well, why isn't more happening here? You know? And after the second implant that had happened, I thought, no, there is something going on here, you know? Well, in this session with Mary, it came out, a couple of things I was able to see, but one of them definitely was that he was one of my handles. I've had 2 in the course of my life, in my relationships and my marriage, but he was the second one. So clearly, I was glad that I had gotten rid of that situation. Right. But what the Yeti has now shared with me was that encounter with the one on the road. It appeared to send energy into him, and they sent energy into him to create a protective field. And that they were controlling that situation until I was able to wake up and see exactly what was going on. Because, you know, it was still a free will. So they can't go in and just make it be what they want it to be, you know. So I was still a free will being, and I had to move away from that myself. So that gives you an idea of the Yeti then, you know what I mean? There are these wonderful, magical creatures, but they can be fierce, and they're here to do a job, and they're here to connect with all star beings. All of us that have a mission, they're actually connecting with the star beings, you know, in our missions, because that's what they're here to hold the gates open as they're working along with Gaia and also the galactic forces. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Very cool. So I think that, like, I'm focusing on this, but the synchronicity between you started having conversations with Gaia 6 years ago and you saw this Yeti 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe that was a catalyst to help you be able to really get into that space, to be able to have those conversations more, you know?
Yeah, Bex, I hadn't thought about that because I'm still processing all this right now because a lot of this is so fresh. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I can see that. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that that's that
Very
earth
cool.
energy, because the Yeti and Gaia are very closely connected. I mean, she's closely connected with all her creations.
Right.
So but they do work energetically. The Yeti have a very strong frequency. Gaia is able to modulate her frequencies. I mean, she doesn't have a very strong frequency, but she can modulate it. So I think it's taken this amount of time of me working with Gaia's frequencies. Because remember when I first started doing the shows, like how the shows would just kind of bomb out, you know, like you get all the static, how everything would just go kind of, or my voice would go interdimensional and stuff like that. Those were when, you know, I was learning how to actually work with the frequency of Gaia.
Right,
you know?
right.
So I can see now, because when the Yeti come in, they're really strong. I mean, they're just really, and they're trying to keep the temper down when they do. You know, I can feel that there's a distance that they're keeping from me, so that it's not too strong. But yeah, so I can't imagine. I wouldn't have been able to deal with this 5 or 6 years ago.
I have a question. When you saw them on the mountain, did you, like, you said you saw them on the mountain and they were in different form. What did you see? Because when we were going up to that altar of ascension, I had taken off my glasses so I could soft focus, because that's an instant way for me to soft focus. And I kept seeing white things sweeping in along the way up. And somebody else had said they'd seen white things sweeping in. So we weren't sure what the heck that was, but kept kind of darting in.
So that I would
vision.
think was consciousness. Because a lot of times you get those orbs, those consciousness orbs that at sacred sites are all over the place. But that's a lot to do also with the frequency of the galactics. And, you know, you just have so much.
We had so much up there. Like, it was just like things
exactly.
sweeping in, and yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, no, when I saw the Yeti, and like I said, it wasn't until the next day that they said, well, that was us. I can tell you this, that I was sitting on a rock meditating, and that's when Paul was doing the whole meditating thing, and I was kind of sitting up, I had opened my eyes up a bit and just kind of looking around, because it was this one black and white butterfly that just kept on flying around. And I just knew the thing was going to land on me. It just kept on flying around. And then, you know, I had that bee that wouldn't leave me alone. And it just kept on landing on me. And so I'm just sitting there, but I've learned to deal with these little, it's like those fly bees are called or something like that. But Uluru broke me into flies, because Gaia was telling me that the fly is my totem animal. It's teaching me patience. It's teaching me to be one with everything around me. And she's like saying, you know, if you can't let a fly land on you without it freaking you out, or, you know, you being annoyed by it, you're not focusing where you need to focus to be one. So I thought, okay, wow, I would get the totem on fly. Yeah, that's my totem. What's your totem, Robyn? Fly. It's like, okay.
Not an eagle.
I know. Yeah, I have an eagle,
Right.
raven, something. So, but I got that. So she's been working on that since Uluru in January, right? And so I got to the place where I was getting really adjusted, just allowing flies just to land and just, you know, be at one. Well, then I saw these little bee flies. They're called a hoverfly or something. They look just like bees. So I thought, well, okay, Gaia, is this a fly or a bee? Because I really don't want to get stung. And she said, well, you know, you're not going to get stung. You know, like, why would the bee sting you if you don't give it a reason? You know, like, focus your energy so that you don't give it a reason. So I thought, okay, here we go again. So while all of this is going on, I'm trying to process all of this, because I'm just trying to meditate, please, you know. On my left, in my left vision field, I heard something that went It just went like boom, boom, boom. It was 3 just boom, boom, boom. I mean, I looked, I'm thinking, but it was small. It was just a very small elemental, kind of. That's what it looked like to me. But it had such an audible sound. And I'm thinking, and now I'm sitting on a rock that I can see over the other side of this rock. So I could see it go around to the left, or I could see it go out into the woods, and it didn't do anything. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, now, do I look? Should I go and peep over this rock and see, or should I just not do that? You know, so I was debating this. And while I was debating this, out of this crack in the rock that I didn't even know that there was a crack there, this little teeny tiny squirrel or something like that came popping out. And when it popped out, it turned and looked me right in the face. I mean, it looked me dead in the eye. And just like for what seemed like 20 seconds, but it just looked at me. And then in an instant, it just darted off. So I'm like, okay, no. That was not that. What I saw and heard was something that sounded like it could be 500 pounds, you know? So I got up and looked over the side of the rock. Of course, there's nothing there. But it couldn't have gone anywhere either. So it wasn't until that next day that the Yeti said that it was them, and that's the form that they are most comfortable in being in. So it'll be in a form like that, but it's audible. I mean, they're there, it's present. You know that you're encountering their frequency. So yeah, so obviously that was quite a different way of me seeing them than that first time 6 years ago. But what's interesting is they are definitely skin changers. So it doesn't surprise me that it popped out as this little innocent squirrel. Yeah, because they are skin changers, and they will become what they need to become in that moment. But they're most comfortable in this more amorphous, very dense, energetic form. And the energy, it has a, you know, it has a description to the energy form, but mostly it's a dense, energetic form that has presence and that you know is there. That makes sense.
That's cool. So did they have a specific message for us today that they wanted to share with us?
Yeah, so the magical kingdom business, that is something. Yeah, so what's interesting is that one of my, I have to read this because this is a true story. One of my followers, and now she's just a dear friend, really a wonderful woman on the path. She, right before coming on, because they had said magical kingdom, that they wanted me to get across the magic of the realm, that for us to really go back into the space, we're very dynamic beings. You know, the star forces are here, the Yeti. I mean, there's such powerful beings that are right now working with Gaia to regain this realm from this fungus. And so there is a lot going on. This is not all like, you know, moonbeams and, you know, rainbows at this point. It's really a galactic war of sorts that's going on. And but the fungus has already lost. I mean, you know, Gaia obviously has won, but where she hasn't won is with her children, because so many of her children are still lost, and they're believing the stories of the fungus, and she doesn't want to leave anybody behind. So she really wants to wake up as many of us as possible. And so when the Yeti said the magical kingdom, their thing was like, for us to go back into the magic that we had as kids, go back into the fairy tales and the story tales and the magical realms, and, you know, because that is how things really used to be. And that's when we return to the Eden, right? To the frequency of paradise, to the gardens, to the realm where, you know, there's not this, you know, the slave work system and all of that, where there's free energy. You don't have to work to, you know, pay for stuff and all this nonsense. That is the realm that we're ascending to, right? So when I said to myself, you know, like, okay, exactly, how do I describe this magical kingdom? Well, within seconds, my friend Miyasha sensed this, and we were talking back and forth about some stuff, and she says, where is it? Okay, hold up. Did she send me something else since then? Oh, yeah, she did. Okay, I'm thinking that doesn't look like what we were writing. Okay, She says, so she referenced that movie, Maleficent.
Oh,
And
yes.
she said, yeah, that something I had been talking about on my show on Tuesday really reminded her of that. So she went back and looked at it. But she said, it's the story of time before the moon and men. We were magic. We flew. We talked to the rocks and plants and trees, and they actually talked back. And I thought, wow, like, okay, that's it. It's the spirit of being one with nature, with Gaia, with, like removing this idea of seriousness in terms of life and living, right? Now, we do have to be serious to get out of this mess. So it is about applying ourselves, right? And applying our knowledge. So I'm not one of these kind of people who want to say, oh, it'll be okay, just love and light. No, kumbaya, nothing, because you'll just be sitting around singing if you do. You know what I mean? You got to be able to put some action to it. But at the same time, you have to know what you're also building towards. And what are we building towards? Well, we're building back to this time when not too long ago, and I say it's been less than 500 years, that we were living like that. I don't believe that it was tens of thousands of years ago. I think this realm has more recently gotten usurped by this fungus, right? So, it's like
the
getting
dark
back
ages.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Wanda, exactly. So it's, it's not that far long ago that we were there where Gaia is trying to get us back to. And so, though the Yeti has been seen as this abominable, creature and everything like that, they actually are the magic that ties the realms together. They're the ones that just get so much joy and pleasure out of everything that nature does, the trees, the birds, us, just the joy of life and living. So what does that really look like? Okay, well, I can tell you for sure, you have to be, during this period, we have to be spiritually protected. Honestly, we can talk on one hand about the magic of it, and it's so true. It's like keeping this focus. So it's like using your third eye, your pineal, and just see everything that's magical. Just like go back and read, your favorite, story, fable or something like that. Those ones that we were kids that we could just lay, in bed and look at the ceiling and just imagine all kind of incredible things. So it's like that. That's what we build in our third eye. That's the realm that we're building so that we can, create a template for where we're going. In the meantime, while we're building that template, we have to also keep our spiritual fields girded up. We have to do the work of spiritual protection, because what's happening is as we keep on up leveling, and with these frequencies that are coming in with these ascension symptoms that we're all starting to have again, what people, what can happen is that the fungus now is even more so upset about what's going on, right? And so it's sending out more of the dark forces to try to get us off course. And especially when you're blowing so much out of the toxins out. I mean, I found that I was just going through periods where literally, I mean, I don't want to gross anybody out, but literally, like last week, my ears were just running ear fluid. Just like, like that ambery wax. And it was just running out of my ear. I'm like, because you could feel something. I got a Q-tip. I'm like, what the heck? But that's what's happening. These energies are really just unlocking so much of the goo that's kind of been just locked into place in our bodies to open stuff up. So you're going to find a lot of odd stuff like that going on with the avatar, right? So while that's happening, we're bringing in more frequency. Well, like the fungus doesn't want us to bring in more frequency. So it's going to bring the tricksters in. I think Barry Littleton just put something up yesterday on the tricksters. And when I sent him the link for this show, he sent me something on recapitulation, it's called. And it's over in his Patreon one, that particular video. But in looking at it, the recapitulation, it reminded me of exactly what's going on with these Ascension symptoms. What it's doing is actually taking, the way he describes it, is you're actually taking something from the right field and you're moving it. In his case, he can take from the right field and move it into the left field and out. So it's like all these memories, all of this this denseness that's actually taking up our frequencies, right? Because all this stuff, these memories, all this stuff we're holding is actually taking up frequency. For me, what I've been noticing is it's moving up and out the top of my crown chakra. So I can feel it like just spiraling out. And I can actually see it as an image. Whatever is leaving, I can see it as its image spiraling out. And I can see the whole lifeline to that particular image moving out. So this is something that's coming in, and many of us will continue to experience this, because that's what these new energies are doing right now. So if you start seeing that kind of stuff, don't let it freak you out. Just know that that's kind of what's going on. So that was really cool. When he said that to me last night, I was like, recapitulation, because that's a part of the Carlos Castaneda work. And he and I talk a lot about Carlos Castaneda, but so yeah, so that was a good way of describing this. So just think of it as recap. When this is starting to happen, you're moving stuff out of your field. So while all of that's happening, we have the tricksters. And what I've noticed now, the more that I've been upgrading, and so much more of this Ascension Symptoms have been coming out, and I've been actually being moved more and more to these magical places. I just got back from the Yucatan Peninsula, and actually I found myself climbing to the top of the third largest Mayan pyramid in Mexico, the first largest in the Yucatan Peninsula. And what was interesting about this is when I got to the first stage of it, which is about 3 stories high, because it's a step pyramid, you know, so you can kind of, it was kind of broken and shaggly, but you know, you kind of had to make your way up there. When I got to the first stage of it, it was this beautiful meadow. I mean, the colors in this meadow were definitely magical. I mean, like I was even saying to my daughter who was with me, the grass didn't even look like a green that you've seen ever in a long time. And it was full of butterflies. I mean, if there was one butterfly, there were thousands of butterflies on the plateau of this pyramid, but there weren't any flies, there weren't any mosquitoes, there weren't any of those kind of animals. But when we came around the clearing, on this third level of this Mayan structure was a whole nother pyramid. There was another 8 stages high. I mean, I was just in disbelief. But here again, it was and we were there for a couple hours. We just earthed there. And here it was this incredible magical kingdom right off the side of this little town. You wouldn't even think this structure was even there. It didn't have any signs. It was no signs. It was no, you know, you wouldn't even know. I mean, I looked at it and I said to my daughter, I said, is this a pyramid? I mean, could this actually be a pyramid just right on the edge of this little city like this? You know, everybody's just kind of coming and going. So this is how magic is going to start working. So you're going to just, you know, you can be just doing whatever, right? And you'll turn a corner and this realm will just open up and you'll start. And when you're in that realm, what it's doing is up leveling your frequency. Because when I was there, I was clear that my crown chakra was just wide open. It was just like a geyser. And it was so peaceful, but I'm telling you, it was really a lot of energy that was coming in. So the Yeti was saying that with the earthing that we were doing, they were grounding a lot more energy in. And that then kicked up a lot more of my Ascension Symptoms, I have to say. I mean, it's just been intense. But we're all going to be getting more and more of this. So you can just be in a park and go to a different side of it. And then this whole kingdom can open up to you. So that's the message they really want to get across, to look for it in the everyday ways. The thing that is important is that when you connect to their energy, and you can just connect to them by just, you know, saying, you know, how much you want to, you know, even learn more about magical kingdoms, or, you know, sort of meet them at that point, because they're here to be of service to all of us. And they're helping with all of our ascensions and all of our growth. They're also fierce protectors. So they will protect you, but you also have to learn how to protect yourself. Right. So since I've been working with them, I've had more tricksters come into my lucid field than you can believe. I mean, I just really don't get a lot of that. But in the last few weeks, I mean, I've had tricksters. I've awakened to one that I thought was my daughter, because my daughter has a tendency to just rub my shoulders, you know, rub my face, you know, play with my hair. And I was sleeping and I thought it was my daughter. And as I wake up, as I'm starting to come out of this state, I realize that it's not her. It's this entity pretending to be her, you know, and this is the way that they can also just usurp your energy. They can get back in and grab the energy that you're upgrading because you don't yet know how to protect it. And they know that. So I tell people it's just as important to work on your protection as it is to work on all the upgrading that we enjoy doing, because you have to know how to hold on to it. Now, the Yeti are showing me that they're here, right? And nothing crazy is going to happen, but they're saying that I have to learn how to stand on my own feet, and I have to learn how to know to deal with these forces, these tricksters when they come in, and to recognize them before they get to implant themselves. So what happens a lot, because I'm a lucid dreamer and I'm in the lucid field a lot, that what I've started noticing even more so is when I'm noticing that they're around, and these are entities that you can actually see. You know, a lot of times you're in the room and you can see this dense movement. And when you go to sleep or something, then that's when they try to move into your field. But on a few occasions, I've come out of my sleep still lucid, and in that moment, immediately recognizing, we got some tricksters around, and you just tell them to leave. You just stand firm. That's when you stand in your power, and they've got to go, because they do not. This is where I disagree with some people who say that, you know, that they have the power over you or they're strong. No, they don't. They do not. They do not. You may see them, and you just haven't learned how to deal with getting them away from you. And that's something that you can, you know, kind of go in with spirit and really figure out what you need to do. Sometimes just get a protective amulet. Look at some of the stones like obsidian and what's that other, the white one that's staglite. You know, there's a number of stones that are protection stones. I would just wear them all the time, so that you can have something physical that has a frequency, because these tricksters are dense, because I can see them. So that means they got a frequency that's got a denseness to them, you know? So you have to encounter it with a frequency that's dense as well. And until we can actually get our force fields exactly where the frequency is such that they can't even get but so close, because as you're upgrading, you're letting go of a lot of stuff is coming in, there's a lot going on, and it's like you can't be in all places at the same time. You know, we're learning, we're trying to upgrade, we're trying to this stuff, letting go of stuff, and I gotta get rid of a trickster. I mean, you know, you got to give ourselves a break. So that's why, you know, candles, selenite. Thank you, Tammy. Selenite.
Yeah. And I always call in Archangel Michael to come in and just stand guard with his.
That's good. Candles. And I believe in Shungite is good too, Nancy. That's right. Yeah. So physical things. So you can bring Archangel Michael in, definitely bring that color blue in, you know, bring the purple in, get your candles, especially beeswax, because they actually emit negative ions, which are earth ions, which helps to clear the air. Make sure you have your stones, you know, whatever your altars are, make sure that you have them and you're using that. Make sure you also are having something you're carrying around with you that has a protection.
Yeah, because that all has the intention. That all has the power of your intention, right? You carry that power of your intention.
What?
I said that all carries the power of your intention.
Yeah, and we also have to think, if we're going to go back to thinking about the magical kingdoms, they carried amulets. They always carried a stone, an amulet, or something. They had a stick, they had a wand. Why were they doing this? They understood the power of the physical object. You know, we've gotten away from it. But there's powers in these physical objects because they're sentient too. They're beings as well. A rock is a being. It has a sentient presence just like we do, and it wants to connect with us and begin to help us. And so that's what I liked about what Miyasha said, because she was saying that we talk to the plants and they talk back. You know, that's where we're getting back. We talk to the rocks and they talk back. You know, we listen to what they're saying. They're just not there to do our bid and call, you know, on our altar, or they're cute, or they this, or they that. No, we got to listen to what they're saying back to us, because it's this symbiotic relationship, because that's where the magic actually, you know, occurs.
So we're going pretty good. I mean, it's nice, but we could stay here and talk all day. But you were going to show the other thing that you've been doing lately, and that's your biofield work.
Yes,
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
So what I've been doing is, more that I've understood about what's going on here, and that we are frequency beings, and so we really have to control our frequencies and know what those frequencies are. We can say that we're in a good place, or we feel good, or we're love and light and all that, but do you know that? Do you have a register for that? And when we go up and down, do you have a way to kind of bring those frequencies back in? Because it goes back to, we were talking about carrying amulets. That's why people played the solfeggio tones. You had the harps and the lyres. You had tonal things that were going on. So these realms were equipped with all of this, because all of that brought to the better good of the beings in the realm. So with the biofeedback, this particular system, it allows me to do, you and I did a session, Rhonda. It allows for me to go in, read the biofield. It gives you everything, mind, body, and spirit. It gives you what you're, even down to what vitamins you may be lacking in, what minerals, your hormones, what you can do to, some of the practical things you can do for that, as well as it plays the tones. And since it plays the tones go through the brain barrier and help to heal, as tones will do. So that's a part of this feature. And it reads the auras. So like the Curlian, you can see the auric field of the individual. And so it's really a good way to see on a point-to-point basis exactly where you are. And when you can, like how they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you could see a picture of what your aura field is looking like, and it's giving you a download in that moment of what's happening, then you can, you know exactly where you are, and you know exactly, well, I probably need to shift a little bit here, or I could do a little bit more work like this, or whatever, because we're dynamic beings. And so also in this protocol, I got the corona protocols in here, because everything has a frequency. So a virus has a frequency too. So we want to be healed from things. We're healed based upon the frequency that's needed for that particular substance. So I also put that in here too, so that it gives that just extra what's needed into the field around even what's going on right now. So what we do is, the app is on my phone here. Excuse me.
So all you people out there, just join in and just talk out loud. So we're projecting all our energy to the show. So
yes. So I'm going to I'm gonna call it Spirit Sessions, because this will be the blueprint of your show. Okay, and we'll put today's date, which is, listen to me, it's July 26th. I should know because it's my dad's birthday. July 26th. And we'll do 20. So, alrighty. So now what we do is, okay. So what you do is so you ladies will all, just kind of use our voices and join together. And people who are in the audience, you can actually say it out loud too. Because here again, this is a biofield, it's bioenergetic. And all you're doing is everybody is depositing their biofrequencies into this field that's going to be captured. So what you say is we're going to say spirit sessions. So we're going to say spirit sessions. We're going to say that slow. And then we're going to say A-E-I-O-U. We do the vowels. Spirit session. So we can say it about 2 times. That's normally enough to get the 15 seconds that we need. So we'll start now.
Spirit
sessions.
A-E-I-O-U.
Spirit sessions. A-E-I-O-U.
E-I-O-U.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how we say it at the same time or not. So, and then I'm gonna take a picture of.
And maybe you can email that to us or put it in our chat, and I'll put it up in for the audience to see it. Like I'll post it in the spirit session so they can see.
I'll definitely put it in there.
Or you can post it on our board. Yeah.
Okay, so
smile, auras.
So we'll take that. And see, it makes these tones.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's analyzing the signature of the pictures and the voice. So let's see what it comes up with. Okay. So let's go into the aura. So this is what it looks like before. It's just gray. I mean, I know we kind of get this
rainbow effect going.
Yeah,
rainbow.
it's like a rainbow.
That's not it, but it's gray. And I'm gonna send it to you so you'll be able to put it up and show it to people.
Okay.
So then we just begin the analysis.
I'll put it up in the comments later, and then I'll put it up.
Because I can send it to the Facebook chat right now if you want.
Yeah, sure. That'll be good. Let's see. I'll get that.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get into Messenger. Okay. And I'll send it right to the link that you were using.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try it. I'll have to probably post it. Oh, that's quite an interesting one.
Yeah, isn't it?
Okay, I don't
a lot
know
of good.
I'll see if you guys can see it.
I don't know. Is your phone? You see
No,
your phone?
mine's not. Mine's just about as bad, but it's got a lot of it's got a lot going on in there. Maybe you can explain it, and I'll try and get it onto the thing afterwards.
Right. So good. So what we're seeing here is there's a lot of green. Now green is of course your heart chakra. And actually it's coming in. So when things come in on the right side of the man sitting there, that's the energy that's coming in. Anything that's coming out the left side are things that we're getting rid of. So there's a lot of heart energy streaming in right now into the group, a lot of foundationally. So, just a lot of that. Yeah, it's a lot of earth energy. It's like Gaia is just ramping it up and sending a lot in. And then there's a lot of blue halos. You have a lot of the pineal, a lot of third eye energy going, and even up into the higher, because we have that darker blue ring, and then above that it's a slightly lighter one, but that's still that sort of periwinkle color. So it's that mixture of the pink and the blue. So you're the crown chakra with the third eye going on, and that's really covering a lot of this image. There's a little bit moving out the left side. It's a little, you'll see like a little gray sort of muddy thing. So it's just getting rid of some stuff. But right now it looks like what's happening with the group is that we just got blasted with a lot of the heart frequency. A lot of that's what's going on right now. And this one is just, we're just sort of, what did you say, Rhonda?
Oh, she's not coming back in.
Oh, that's why I thought she was.
She disappeared.
Yeah. Okay.
She's in another.
Yeah. That's what she said. Oh no, I'm thinking.
It was funny. It was right when that happened. We had a trickster come on and start spamming our audience. So I had to block them and delete all those comments they were trying to. So right after that happened, we had a trickster come in. So,
isn't that something?
Yeah. So it's blocked and moved on, protected.
Yeah. Because this is the energy. I mean, this fungus is real out here, and what people don't want, it doesn't want this information to be out there. And the last message any of this fungus wants any of us to have is magical kingdom. I mean, the last thing they want us to do is be thinking about the magic and planning in our minds and using our third eye to create where we're actually going, where the earth is actually going. We're supposed to still just be locked down in fear and trepidation and hopelessness and all that kind of stuff. And that's not the message of Gaia or the Yeti. But at the same time, you know, to underscore the fact the tricksters are real. You know, they are going to try to get in, and you have to do just what you just did: block them, send them out. Yeah.
I hope you guys can't hear me. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, okay. I can't see you very well. I'm sorry. Some weird stuff went on my computer, and I thought I had ended the broadcast. So I was having. Yeah, I'm not doing well on my computer here. So no, that's awesome. I'll get it out to everybody. So
yeah, definitely people enjoy seeing that, you know, once.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but those are, you know, and it's just good. I normally do those sessions, but you know, you can do them once a week, once a month. Some people do them weekly because they just are really working on certain aspects of their field that they really want to keep. They want to work in on things. You can just use, and normally even in the session, the tones that you heard there, you're able to download those tones and you can listen to them over and over and over and over again. And they just keep on working in your biofield. So there's a lot, you know, that we can do now to keep ourselves protected and to be ever vigilant, you know, but we got to stand firm and not just allow this stuff in. And we can't turn a deaf ear to it or a deaf eye to it and say, oh, well, you know, it really doesn't exist. It only exists if you think it does.
Right.
No, it doesn't work like that.
So what's
But,
the app called?
so this one is actually, it's a biofeedback app. It's actually was designed by 2 doctors. And so it's a process. I mean, you go into training on it and everything. So you purchase it, it downloads onto your phone or your iPad. And then there's training and stuff that goes along with it, but it's called quantum biofeedback.
Very cool.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Robyn, Bex has a question for you.
I do. I have the question. All right.
And we have all of Robyn's links. We have all of Robyn's links in the bio at the top, and you can get a hold of her. And she does these sessions, and they're just amazing. We had such a great time doing them. So yeah, the difference in changing. That was really cool. I listen to my tones all the time. So
good. Yeah, they really do. I mean, I listen to them all the time myself. Even during these Ascension Symptoms, I'm constantly listening to them because it really does help you just keep on clearing out that energy without it just getting stuck in your toroidal field. You know, it helps to move it out your aura so that you know, it's like if you know how you do a fast or a cleanse. You can fast all day long, but if you're not moving it out the other end, I mean, you're kind of like, it's not, you know, you're not getting the job done. You know, it's self-defeating. That's the same thing with as we're going through our Ascension Symptoms and we're upgrading our frequencies, you got to get the gunk out. It's got to come out, or if it just lays there, then it's right back, you know, it's just right back to calcifying or congealing again in your space. And, you know, you haven't really made much progress with it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the question is, if you had to choose a song to be the theme song of your life, what would it be?
Well, thankfully, you did give me a little bit of pre-notice on this because I would be sitting here right now going, But one of the songs that came, the song that came to me that I used to listen to like just about every single morning, and I started listening to the song about 6 years ago, interestingly enough, is Gregory Porter's song, Be Good. It's called The Lion Song. It's called The Lion Song, and it's actually a male lullaby. And I was always, it's such a beautiful song, and he sings it so beautifully. But it was the idea that the song that it basically, if those who don't know it, is Be Good is her name. But it talks about its relationship. And it talks about his own relationship with a woman who kind of broke his heart. And, you know, when he realized that, he was walking himself home and he started singing this song to himself. And he called it a male lullaby. And I thought, wow, men have lullabies? You know, I didn't think about it.
Right.
And, but it's such a really beautiful song. And so I started listening to this about 6 years ago now. And it was one of my brother's absolute favorite songs. And he passed away about 5 years ago. So it's really dear to my heart. So a lot of times I'll play that in the morning. It's like a morning song. It kind of gets you up and get you going. So I would say Gregory Porter's Be Good.
Okay.
Very
I
cool.
I will look that up and put that in the comments too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what an awesome show today. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's always such an enlightening experience spending time with you. Like
Yeah.
mind-blowing, enlightening, and just so powerful. So thank you for hanging out with us.
Are you kidding? Thank you for having me, girls. You call, I'll come. You always love hanging out with you all. And like I said, it's always like old home week. We were all, met each other's at the beginning of all of our, sort of careers in podcasting.
Exactly.
Vlogcasting or whatever we're doing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very
Well,
cool.
thanks again for having me, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank
It's been an
you.
amazing journey, huh? I said it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, it has been an amazing journey for all of us. It's crazy, yeah right?
Absolutely. All right, so announcements. Share it out, because whoever shares out the most this week, we'll announce it at the end of next week's show, and that person will win a reading with me. So make sure you guys share this out, invite your friends. It's good for, repeat watches. You can watch anytime and really tune in, listen to what Robyn has to say, because it's important. The magical kingdom, it's not about Disney. It's about connecting with nature, getting into that other realm and letting yourself really be connected into the divine, allowing yourself to see beyond the physical and tune into what's really there. Such an amazing experience for all of us to have. And that's where we're meant to put our energy and focus now. So, awesome show, amazing, amazing stuff. The person who won last week's Share It Out, who won a reading with Rhonda, is Shah John. So congratulations. And Rhonda will be getting a hold of you to schedule that. And thank you guys so much for hanging out this week. What an awesome hour and 21 minutes we've had. It's been really cool.
One of you guys is going to have to end the show, because I can't do that for Mission Control today, because I'm still kind of locked out. It's kind of weird.
All right, I got it then. All right, guys, have a beautiful, beautiful week, and take care of each other, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks very much.
care.
Thank you, Robyn.
Thank you, guys.